Hello, hello. So this morning I'm going to talk about an investment strategy called buckets. Why buckets? Why do we need it? So you can retire with confidence, make sensible decisions, avoid mistakes, protect what you've built, stay on track, retire comfortably, enjoy life, and sleep well at night. All right, we're going to cover why use buckets, what is buckets, risks and downsides, and key outcomes. So why use buckets? I'm going to give you a couple of real life stories to show you why. After the GFC, I got a new client who came to see me. He was in trouble and needed help. During the GFC, the global financial crisis that is, his super had gone down a lot and stayed down a long time. He had to take money out to live on at the worst possible time, and as a result, his super was hammered. Ultimately, he only had one solution, and that was to sell the home that he loved. And that could have been avoided if he'd been using buckets. In the COVID crash, or this is about the COVID crash, I had some clients who planned to retire in mid 22. When COVID happened, they said they decided to keep working. And the reason was because all their friends had lost a lot of money and their friends had decided to keep working. However, my client hadn't looked at their balance. They were too scared. But they had buckets and they had money to buy and ended up retiring in August 2020 as planned. And this is their result from COVID. They got a 37% return because they did a lot of buying in COVID. Why use buckets? It's market crash. If the market crashed just before you retire, you might have to keep working, or even worse, just after you retire, you might have to go back to work. Ugh. Would you like to go back to work after you retired? Probably not. So why use buckets? So you're not forced to sell at a bad time. It gives you money to live on if there's a crash, and to protect your retirement from a crash. There's going to be one. We don't know when. Alrighty, what is buckets? It's market crash insurance, 3 bucket system of investments, different type of investments in each bucket. And that's what it looks like. In bucket 1, you have short-term investments, ones that are not affected by a market crash and have enough money in there for 2 to 3 years. Bucket 2 is medium-term investments with medium volatility and have enough money there for another 2 to 3 years. And then bucket 3, this is for long-term investments. These are the ones that make you money in the long term. And bucket 1 and 2 protects the money in bucket 3. So what happens is the income from bucket 3 goes into bucket 1, the income from bucket 2 goes into bucket 1, and then your income for living comes out of bucket 1. And that's what it looks like. So let's say there's a market crash. What happens next? Right, we've got 2 or 3 years worth of income in bucket 1, so you start taking it out of there. If it's a long crash, like COVID for example, we start taking money out of bucket 2. And then hopefully before you get to bucket 3, the market's gone back up again. It doesn't always happen, but most times it's gone up by then. And then you start building up bucket 1 again, taking money out for living, build up bucket 2. What investments do we use for buckets? Okay, so in bucket 1 we use cash, term deposits. Bucket 2, fixed interest, alternative credit. And bucket 3 is where you have shares and property. It could be international shares, international property, Australian shares, Australian property. So it looks like this. Now the risks and downsides is major one is overspending, but you can control this. Bucket one gets low returns, and estimates for income must be accurate. Careful investment planning needs to go into making sure that you've got enough income. And one of the risks is income streams can underperform. There's added costs and complexities because of this, and a long crash can empty bucket 1 and 2. So the key outcomes is it gives you peace of mind because you've got enough income for 5 to 6 years. You may even be able to buy in a crash like my clients did, and there's less chance of being forced to sell at a bad time. There's less emotional risk, and emotional risk is you getting a fright and panicking at a bad time. And here's the summary. It's safer and more certain retirement income. It's not risk-free. It adds complexity. It costs more, but that's just the premium for the market crash insurance. Would you like to know more? Well, visit my website or my YouTube channel. And here's a general advice warning. This is a simple galvanized version. The presentation is for educational purposes only. The information in here is reasonably accurate. Some poetic license has been taken to a small degree for explanation purposes, simply to make it easier to understand. And get an advice before you do anything. And the next one is the official version. If you want to read this, pause the video there and read it. Otherwise, and remember, you can be confident that you will always have enough money. Thank you.